The voice behind the static. My name is Ethan, and this is the scariest thing that has happened to me. If you ever hear an old radio turn on by itself at 3:13 in the morning, don't listen to it. I wish someone had told me that before it was too late. It all started in October 2025. I had just moved into a small cabin in the woods outside a town called Blackwater, Colorado. I work from home fixing old sound recordings for museums. The cabin was quiet, and that was exactly what I wanted. When the landlord gave me the keys, he smiled and said the last man who lived her left in the middle of the night. I laughed. Why? He said the house talked to him. The landlord laughed too. I thought it was just a joke. 3 days later, I found an old wooden radio in the attic. It was covered with dust. It looked like nobody had touched it for many years. I plugged in into the wall. A small yellow light came on, but there was no music, no news, only silence. I left it on a table in the living room because I liked old things. That night I woke up to the sound of static. I looked at my phone. 3:13 a.m. The radio was on. I was sure I had turned it off before going to bed. I walked over to switch it off. Just as my hand touched to knob, a voice came from speaker. Ethan, I froze. The voice sounded weak, like someone was very far away. Ethan, don't answer. I looked around the room. Nobody was there. Then another voice came through the radio. He can hear us. The radio was silent. I stood there for almost a minute without moving. The next morning, I told myself it was just a strange signal from another station, but deep inside, I know it was not. The next night, I stayed awake to the watch the radio. I looked at my phone. 3:12 a.m. Nothing happened. Then the clock changed. 3:13 a.m. The radio turned on by itself. The static was louder this time. Then the same voice spoke again. Don't look outside. I should have listened. Instead, I walked to the window. At first, everything looked normal. Then I noticed something. The trees were not moving. The wind had stopped. Even the falling leaves were frozen in the air. And between the trees, someone was standing there, very tall, very still, watching me. The radio whispered, too late. The figure disappeared. The wind came back. The leaves fell to the ground. Everything looked normal again. But I know I had seen something real. I closed every curtain in the cabin. I locked every door. That was the first night I truly felt afraid.